So we're reading in Book 6, a visit of Narad to Asvapati's palace. We stopped last time on page 420. I'm going to start reading on the 5th line. Narad is speaking to Savitri. We read most of his speech last time, but there's a few lines still. So he's addressing Savitri, thou, you. Moon bright, thou livest in thy inner bliss. Thou comest like a silver deer through groves of coral flowers and buds of glowing dreams, or fleeced like a wind goddess through leaves, or roamst, O ruby-eyed and snow-winged dove, flitting through thickets of thy pure desires in the unwounded beauty of thy soul. These things are only images to thy earth, but truest truth of that which in thee sleeps. For such is thy spirit, a sister of the gods, thy earthly body lovely to the eyes, and thou art kin in joy to heaven's sons. O thou who hast come to this great perilous world, now only seen through the splendor of thy dreams, where hardly love and beauty can live safe, thyself a being dangerously great, a soul alone in a golden house of thought has lived walled in by the safety of thy dreams. On heights of happiness, leaving doom asleep, who hunts unseen the unconscious lives of men. If thy heart could live locked in the ideal's gold, as high, as happy might thy waking be, if for all time doom could be left to sleep. He spoke, but held his knowledge back from words. As a cloud plays with lightning's vivid laugh, but still holds back the thunder in its heart, only he let bright images escape. His speech, like glimmering music, veiled his thoughts. As a wind flatters the bright summer air, pitiful to mortals, only to them it spoke of living beauty and of present bliss. He hid in his all-knowing mind the rest. To those who hearkened to his celestial voice, the veil heaven's pity throws on future pain. The immortal sanction seemed of endless joy. So I'm going to pause there. You will start, Bhavan? Yes.
Moon bright, thou livest in thy inner bliss. Thou comest like a silver beam through groves of coral flowers and buds of glowing dreams, or flee like a winged goddess through leaves. O roamest, O ruby-eyed and snow-winged thou, flitting through thickets of thy pure desire, in the unwounded beauty of thy soul.
Thank you. So again, he's saying how beautiful she is as she arrives, changed by this enchantment of her love. He says, you are living bright like a moon. The full moon can be so bright, no? And bright, the moon in the Indian tradition, it always has this association of bliss, of delight. So he says, you are living like a bright moon in your inner bliss, the bliss of your soul. And you're coming here to us, you look like a silver deer. Those deer in the forest, they can be so beautiful, so graceful, no? Coming through the groves, through the trees. Groves of coral flowers. Here coral is a color, a special kind of pink. The pink that the coral that we get from below the sea is. No? These coral flowers. And buds. There are the flowers, there are also the buds. But these buds, he says, are like dreams. They're glowing dreams waiting to blossom. Or he says, you flee, you move quickly, like a wind goddess through the leaves. You know, like the wind passing, one of those wind beings. Or you are roaming, moving around like a dove, a white dove, with wings like snow, pure white dove. The dove is the symbol of peace and innocence, you know? But they have lovely red glowing eyes, ruby-eyed, eyes like precious stones. So those birds flit, they fly through thickets of thy pure desires. Thickets are where the branches and the bushes are growing thickly. So it's not easy for people to pass through, but the birds can pass. So she's flitting, flying through these thickets that represent pure desires. We always think of desire as something negative, but in Savitri it's not always something negative. Here it is something natural and pure and innocent that the dove has. You are appearing like this in the unwounded beauty of thy soul. Your soul is like a pure white bird or like a silver deer or like a wind goddess passing through the leaves. You'll read? No. Suresh.
These things are only images to thy ear, but truth and truth of that which in thee sleeps.
Yes. He says, these things which I'm saying about the deer and the dove and the wind goddess, he says, to your material part, to your earthly part, this seems like only images, comparisons, pictures. But he says, actually, these are the truest truth of what is sleeping inside you. There's truth, there are many truths, and some truths are truer, more true than other truths. And he's saying the truest truth, the most true truth of what is within you. It is pure and beautiful like these things.
So he compares with this.
Yes. He says these things are only images, but they sound like images to your earthly part, but they are truths of your not earthly part, your inner part. Mahalingam, what do you read?
These things are only
No, this we read, yeah. For such.
The sister of the gods, the earthly body, lovely to the eyes, and thou art keen joy to heaven's sun.
So he says, that's what your spirit is like. This purity, this innocence, this unwounded beauty. Because your spirit is a sister of the gods, of the divine beings. Your earthly body is lovely to the eyes, but it's lovely because your spirit within is lovely. And thou art kin in joy to heaven's sons. The sons of heaven, the divine beings, they are always in a state of joy and bliss. And you are closely related to them, your kin, the members of your family. So, in that joy that they feel and you feel, you are you're very closely related to those heavenly beings. André, you read?
O thou who hast come to this great perilous world, now only seen through the splendor of thy dreams, where harder love and beauty can live safe. Thyself have been dangerously great, the soul alone in a golden house of thought has lived walled in by the safety of thy dreams.
Yes. So he says, you've come from somewhere else. You've come to this great, dangerous world, perilous world. This world is full of danger. But you are seeing it, this world, not as it really is. You are seeing it through the splendor of your dreams. Because of your beautiful spirit, you have these wonderful dreams, this way of seeing the world in which everything is beautiful and full of delight. But he says this great perilous world where hardly love and beauty can live safe. This is such a dangerous world, and what is beautiful and what is love, what has to do with love, it's always under attack. And he says, you yourself are a being who is dangerous. You are dangerously great. It means that those who are great will have to face great dangers, have to deal with great dangers. Life will not be always simple and happy for you.
You're not dangerous to others. You face dangers.
She will have to face dangers. Yeah. He says, so far in your life, what's been happening is that your soul, alone, protected in this golden house of thought, you've been living in these golden dreams and thoughts. You've lived walled in, protected by the safety of your dreams. Nothing painful or dark has touched you. You like to read? Yes?
Heights of happinesses, dreaming, doom and sleep. Who hands unseen, the unconscious lives of man. If they heart hold live locked in the ideal goal, as high, as happy, might they
Waking.
Before our time, doom cold be left to sleep.
Yes. So this is quite a difficult sentence. What he's talking about is Savitri's heart. It's been protected, it's been living walled in by these dreams. So he says, if your heart could remain on these heights of happiness and leaving doom asleep, doom, misfortune, suffering, as if doom is some kind of being that we shouldn't wake up. Doom who hunts unseen. We don't see the doom coming, but it's like an animal of prey coming and stalking us, hunting us, because we are unconscious. We don't see it coming. So this word doom, this misfortune, is unseen, always hunting the unconscious lives of men. If your heart could live on those heights of happiness, leaving doom asleep, if your heart could live locked in, still protected, enclosed in the ideal's gold, in that pure golden atmosphere of the ideal on the higher levels of consciousness, then even when you wake up from these beautiful dreams, your waking up might be as high and as happy as the dreams themselves. No? And then he says, if for all time doom could be left to sleep, if it were only possible for that misfortune to be left sleeping, we say, let sleeping dogs lie, no? Don't wake them up. In the same way with doom, if he could stay asleep. So he's giving some kind of a little hint, but it's only a very small hint. He is not speaking out the full knowledge that he has. Would you read the first 5 lines, please, Joel?
He spoke, but held his knowledge back from words, as a cloud plays with lightning's vivid laugh, but still holds back the thunder in its heart. Only he let bright images escape.
So this is another beautiful picture. Sometimes it happens in the summer that we see the clouds flashing with lightning, no? In the night sky in the early evenings, and it's very beautiful to watch, a kind of light show, no? And sometimes that can go on for quite a long time, and we don't hear any thunder. We just see the light flashing. So he says it's like that. In his speech, Narad is flashing the light. He's not giving out the thunder, the frightening, noisy thunder. He's holding back his knowledge from his words. He's not putting what he knows into words. He's letting these bright images escape. Gomsun?
His speech like a glimmering music, bathed his thoughts, as a wind flatters the bright summer air. Pitiful to mortals, only to them spoke. O living beauty and all present bliss. He hid in his own knowing mind the rest.
So he's making this, he's letting out these beautiful images in his beautiful musical voice as a poet, as a singer. But Sri Aurobindo says it's like glimmering music, music that is playing with light, but it's veiling, it's hiding his thoughts. He's not letting what he knows and what he thinks be expressed in his words. And then another simile, in the same way as the wind seems to be playing, flattering the bright summer air, a summer air when it's nice and warm and we are happy to feel a cool breeze, no? It's not telling them winter will come and I will bring snow and rain. He's not telling those things, no? So in the same way, just like a lovely summer breeze, Narad is speaking of living beauty, of what is now, of Savitri's living beauty and present bliss, the happiness that is now. He is hiding in his all-knowing mind. This is Narad. He can see the past, the present, and the future. He knows very well what is going to happen, but he's not going to speak about that because he is pitiful to mortals. He has pity, compassion. He doesn't want to make them unhappy. He doesn't want to disturb them. He's not going to tell them the things that he knows.
Flatters means here it does not the price. Flatters.
Yes, flattering. Yes, it is a little bit like that, you know, as if the wind is saying to the summer day, how beautiful you are, how delightful. No? Yes. Although it has the power to sweep the summer day away. Patricia. I think everybody else has read.
To those who hearken to his celestial voice, the veil heaven's pity throws on future pain. The immortal's sanction seemed of endless joy.
So those who hearkened, those who listened to his heavenly voice, this beautiful voice of Narad, the singer and the poet. He is throwing a veil. Out of pity, he's veiling, he's covering his knowledge of future pain. But to the people who are listening to that beautiful voice, it seems as if he's giving his blessing. It seems as if he's giving the sanction that the immortals, the gods, are saying yes to endless joy for Savitri. Because he's cast that veil, he's held his knowledge back from words. But Aswapati is a bit different. He has more perception. Yes?
But Ashwapati answering to this seer, his listening mind
had marked
the voice grows in
ominous
shadow fell behind the birds, but cold like one who ever sits facing fate. Here meet the dangerous contours of his life. He answered, however, so his
guarded speech. So, but the king, Aswapati, he answers to the seer, Narad. He is listening with his deep inner mind, and he has noticed these last words of Narad's, the dubious clause. Narad had said, if, it's doubtful, it's not sure, and in his intuition, he feels a shadow, a threatening shadow behind the words. But King Aswapati is himself a great rishi and seer, So he doesn't make a fuss, he doesn't get excited. He keeps absolutely calm because he is one who is always sitting firmly seated, facing fate, all the things that may happen here on this earth, in the midst of the dangerous contours of earth's life. Anything can happen at any time. So, with that calm mind of one who is used to the way things happen on earth, he answers Narad's covert thought, his thought that has been covered up. He responds to that, to what Narad didn't say, but he responds to it himself with guarded speech. He also doesn't speak openly. He's very careful about the words that he's saying. Because covered means like covered, secret or hidden. Something that's overt is open, and this is covert. Yeah. Ominous means there are bad omens. There's something threatening and suggestive of danger there. Oh, what is wrong? Yes?
What are the contours?
Contours. If you are a person who makes maps, you draw contour lines, that join all the points that are the same height. So the contours are kind of the shapes, the lines, the forms.
We have in Russian the same, right?
Yes.
Contour.
Yes. Okay, Dhanalakshmi.
O deathless sage, who knowest all things here, if I could read by the ray of my own wish, through the carved shield of symbol images, which thou hast thrown before thy heavenly mind, I might see the steps of a young godlike life, happily beginning, luminous-eyed onward.
Let's pause there. So he addresses Narad. He says, "Oh, deathless sage." Narad is one of the immortals, no? And he says, "You know everything here." He says, "If I could read your mind, if I could read through this shield," he doesn't say veil, he says a carved shield of symbol images which you've thrown in front of your heavenly mind. If I could read through that shield of words and images you've shown, by the ray of my own wish, by the light, or in the light of what I wish for my daughter, then I might see, perhaps what I would see would be the steps of a young godlike life, something divine, happily beginning, with its eyes full of light on earth. Maybe that's what I would see if I could look through all these beautiful images that you've placed in front of us so that we can't read your mind. And then he says something more about Narad's mind. Rosa.
Between the unknowable, unknowable, the unseen, one of the borders of two wonder worlds, it flames out symbols of the infinite and lives in a great light of inner suns.
He's talking about Narad's heavenly mind, which is moving between the supreme, the absolute, the unknowable, and all that is unseen around us. No? That mind has been born on the borders, the meeting point of two wonder worlds. It is flaming out, sending out flames of symbols of the infinite, of what is beyond all limits, no? And your mind, your heavenly mind, it lives in a great light of inner suns. Our minds are living in a fine kind of grey mist of ignorance. Only here and there we get a little light. But Narad's mind is not like that. It's as if living in a blaze of many suns. I'll read a little bit further. For it has read and broken the wizard seals. It has drunk of the immortal's wells of joy. It has looked across the jewel bars of heaven. It has entered the aspiring secrecy. It sees beyond terrestrial common things and communes with the powers that build the worlds, till through the shining gates and mystic streets of the city of lapis lazuli and pearl, proud deeds step forth, a rank and march of gods. So this is still Narad's mind. Asvapati is recalling the achievements of Narad. His mind has been able to read and to break the wizard seals, the seals of enchantment, perhaps the seals of Maya. A seal, when you want to send a letter through the post, you will seal it. You will close it. And in the old days, the king would put his seal on his letters so they couldn't be opened. So there are some kind of magical seals which are preventing us ordinary mortals from seeing the future, the unseen, the unknown. And Narad's mind has drunk from the immortal's wells of joy. Normally we will drink from a cup, but there are wells, deep wells of delight. It has looked across the jewel bars of heaven. So if we think of heaven, actually perhaps there are some bars. Certainly we are told there are gates. But you have looked through those beautiful jeweled bars, and you have entered that secrecy which is aspiring ever higher. Your mind sees beyond all these earthly common things that we see. And it communes, it communicates, it has conversations with the powers that build the worlds, that have the capacity to make things happen, to create things. And you have communicated with these powers that build the worlds. That communication has gone on until things actually happen, until out of those shining gates and those mystic streets of that heavenly city of lapis lazuli and pearl. Lapis lazuli, you perhaps know, it's a very beautiful gemstone that comes from Afghanistan. It's a kind of deep blue. The name just means blue stone. Lapis is stone and lazuli is blue. So if we imagine this city, perhaps it's some kind of mind heaven where everything is blue and pearly. Things happen. Proud deeds step forth. Things, great actions will happen. Coming forward like an army of gods. A rank, the army is in ranks, rows, each according to their status, marching. Something coming out of heaven and coming into the manifested world. Narad, he says, you have that power of communing with those, you have that capacity of communing with those powers until things happen. So I think we'll stop there. Because it's quite a long speech of Aswapati.
Moon bright thou livest in thy inner bliss. Thou comest like a silver deer through groves of coral flowers and buds of glowing dreams, or fleest like a wind goddess through leaves, or roamst, O ruby-eyed and snow-winged dove, flitting through thickets of thy pure desires in the unwounded beauty of thy soul. These things are only images to thy earth, but truest truth of that which in thee sleeps. lips. For such is thy spirit, a sister of the gods, thy earthly body lovely to the eyes, and thou art kin in joy to heaven's sons. O thou who hast come to this great perilous world, now only seen through the splendor of thy dreams, where hardly love and beauty can live safe, thyself a being dangerously great, a soul alone in a golden house of thought, has lived walled in by the safety of thy dreams. On heights of happiness, leaving doom asleep, who hunts unseen the unconscious lives of men, if thy heart could live locked in the ideal's gold, as high, as happy might thy waking be, if for all time doom could be left to sleep. He spoke, but held his knowledge back from words, as a cloud plays with lightning's vivid laugh, but still holds back the thunder in its heart. Only he let bright images escape. His speech, like glimmering music, veiled his thoughts. As a wind flatters the bright summer air, pitiful to mortals, only to them it spoke of living beauty and of present bliss. He hid in his all-knowing mind the rest. To those who hearkened to his celestial voice, the veil heaven's pity throws on future pain, the immortal sanction seemed of endless joy. But Aswapati answered to the seer. His listening mind had marked the dubious close. An ominous shadow felt behind the words. But calm like one who ever sits facing fate, here mid the dangerous contours of earth's life, he answered covert thought with guarded speech. O deathless sage, who knowest all things here, if I could read by the ray of my own wish through the carved shield of symbol images which thou hast thrown before thy heavenly mind, I might see the steps of a young godlike life happily beginning, luminous-eyed on earth. Between the unknowable and the unseen, born on the borders of two wonder worlds, it flames out symbols of the infinite and lives in a great light of inner suns. For it has read and broken the wizard seals. It has drunk of the immortal's wells of joy. It has looked across the jewel bars of heaven. It has entered the aspiring secrecy. It sees beyond terrestrial common things and communes with the powers that build the worlds, till through the shining gates and mystic streets of the city of lapis lazuli and pearl, proud deeds step forth, a rank and march of God.